Good morning. How's everybody on Monday morning? Awake? So inspired? Yes? Mr. Shin, are you ready? Are we on? Are we live? Okay, good morning, BIA. Good morning to any parents that are tuning in. I'm very glad and grateful to meet you this morning on an early spring morning. Did you have a good weekend? No. Did you enjoy the snow on Saturday? Kind of Bridgeport missed the snow, but everywhere around here got a lot of snow on Saturday. I know Dr. Swartz had about 10 inches or 6 inches in Pennsylvania. In New Jersey, we had 3 inches, and it was very hard to drive. But anyway, spring is on the move, so very, very soon we'll have warmer weather, and we'll be taking off our jackets, and we'll be much happier. Can you wait for that? Yes? Everyone's I can see you shaking your heads, and I can see all your smiling faces and all your strong enthusiasm. But the audience outside can't see that in the Zoom call, but I'm so gratified to see your responses to me. So, how was Global Studies Week? All right, we got a response. Nice, very good, very good. Who was the winner? Who won? Who was the top team? Green? What color? The black team? All right, give it up for the black team. Very good, very good. Okay, well, you know what today is? Anybody know what today is? Monday. No, what's today, Mr. Kingsley? What day? Is it really? Wow, I didn't know that. Because why? Because 3/14? Today's Pi Day. Oh my gosh, it's Pi Day, 3/14, and it's Albert Einstein's birthday today. All right, give it up for Albert Einstein. He's a true American immigrant, someone who came to this country and was able to do amazing things during his lifetime. So this morning I'm going to give you some spring reflections. The first one is really the starting point of BIA. BIA has a motto. You all know that we have a motto, right? Right? Yes, we have a motto. And that motto is, the determination of youth becomes the flower of life. It's kind of a Zen-like phrase that is used to sort of encapsulate what is the core belief of this institution. And that core belief is that your life right now as a teenager is so precious and so important. And so we recognize that value and we recognize that seriousness. So, you know, we're trying to the best of our ability. When I say we, I mean the faculty, the staff, the board, the community. We're trying to the best of our ability to make your experience a good one. We don't want you to have a negative experience. We want you to enjoy being in high school. We want you to not be assaulted by the world around you. We want you to have a time where you can make friends, where you can learn the subjects that you need to learn to prepare for college. And we want to do that in a healthy Oh. Test. Okay, I'm back on. Sorry. We don't have a mic stand today, so I'm hanging on to the microphone. But anyway, if you look at the environment of schools, there is a very schools and private schools, okay? And we're a private school, so we have an opportunity to control the environment and what you're being exposed to and the standards and the values that we promote. And what are we promoting? We're promoting a global community, a global family, a place where everyone is given value, that no one is being placed above anyone else, that we're looking through, you know, what you might call the eyes of God, if I can be so bold as to say that. But, you know, a perspective that means that everyone is treated with respect and dignity and, you know, trust and love equally, or to the best of our ability equally, okay? So my first reflection point is, please keep in mind BIA's motto, because it does inform a great deal of what we do in the school. Okay, my second reflection point is this Latin word that I don't know if you've ever seen before, and I'm probably not going to pronounce it correctly, but patheumatos. Any Latin scholars? Mr. Hudson, any Latin? Did I get that right? Okay, he's giving me the thumbs up. And this is essentially a Greek term that means development through difficulty or learning through struggle. And, you know, I know that you guys, maybe you don't want to hear this, but it's been said of your generation that you want to get it, you want it to be perfect. You want everything to be perfect. Maybe you've heard that, maybe you haven't. But in life, things don't usually come out right the first time. Maybe sometimes they do, and there's a real magic there. You understood the first time the teacher told you, Mr. An told you a theorem, or Miss L told you a hypothesis, and you got it right away. Oh, I understood that perfectly. But most people don't. Most people don't get it on the first try. It takes a few tries to sort of reason and understand what you're thinking, what you're looking at, and what that particular reality is, right? So the whole notion of struggle is something that, you know, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to get a wrong answer. It's not pleasant to have to start over. It's not pleasant to make a mistake. But even the Greeks are hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They understood this very, very well. And it was epitomized in a work called, I can't pronounce Greek words, but Aeschylus maybe is how you say it, but it was a famous piece of writing, and they epitomized this concept of learning through struggle. And I think it's important to remind, especially today, because my earlier question about what is today, I'm very glad that Mr. Kingsley told me what today was. But today is also the day you're going to get your report cards. So that's what I was referring to at the end of the school day. Please stop by the office and get your report card. And so some of you are going to be inspired and uplifted because you did very well. And some of you have work to do, right? But that's what I'm talking about. Precisely what I'm talking about is that we don't always get things right on the first try. So you have to have mental acuity. You have to have, you know, kind of a mindset that says, I'm going to continue no matter what the result is. If my result is not perfect the first time, I'm going to try again and try to refine that effort, okay? So that's my second reflection point. And my third one is, you are what you eat. Have you ever heard that before? There we go. You are what you eat. Who's ever heard that before? Raise your hand. Okay, all right. It's Monday morning. What a crowd. Okay. I know you've heard that before because it's a very common thing that's said. And there's great truth in it when it comes to nutrition, right? You are what you eat. What does that mean? It means like if you eat a lot of, let's say, sugary foods, you may gain weight. If you eat a lot of vegetables, you may be leaner than the person that eats sugary foods, right? You may have different levels of energy depending on what you eat. But it is a pretty solid scientific fact that whatever goes in is going to produce a certain kind of result in your body. And we have in America, I'm sure it's true in other countries, but in America we have a lot of diabetes, we have a lot of heart disease, and many of these things, although some are hereditary, many of these diseases are coming directly from lifestyle. And so you can correct them by changing your lifestyle, right? Because you are what you eat. But my concern is not as much about physically what you eat, it's more spiritually what you eat. And the reason why I say that is because I watch a lot of television. I like watching movies, especially Turner Classic Movies, and I watch, sporting events and different things. And you see what's being broadcast on the television, and you see the commercials that are being presented, and you see what movies are coming out and all the gore and the blood and the guts that go into these movies. And when you watch those kind of things, they go in and they don't come out. Once you see something, you can't unsee it, and I'm sorry to say, a kind of difficult subject, but there's a lot of things that are shown on, in movies and television that are not healthy. You see crime and you see all kinds of, very questionable content, and yet it's constant. And young people are seeing that. They're even seeing those kinds of things in cartoons. You see violence in cartoons as well. So what I'm saying is you are what you eat. So when we eat something physically, our body has give and take with it, breaks it down into its nutrients, and it's used in the body. Well, the same thing happens with the give and take that we have, whether that's give and take with the media in terms of watching television, or what we read, or even how we relate with one another. If we relate with one another in a positive and respectful way, the result is amazing. You develop very, very good human relations with other people. If you walk around criticizing people and, being unresponsive and, being negative, then you see people will respond to you in a certain way. So it's very important. You are in a position to control. To a certain extent, you can decide what to watch. You can decide how to talk with your fellow classmates. So my third point is you are what you eat. And the fourth one is I make the weather. Did you ever hear that one before? No? Okay, well you have to watch the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, and then you'll see a very funny scene where he's getting snowed upon, and he had predicted, he's a weatherman, and he had predicted that it wasn't going to snow, but it's snowing heavily. And he says, I make the weather. But that's a comic interpretation of what I want to say. What I'm trying to say is that regardless of what's going on outside, whether it's raining, snowing, sleeting, or a sunny day, we ourselves decide how we're going to feel. We can control our own weather, so to speak. So, for example, if we're in a funny mood, we can do things to change that mood. We can adjust how we think and how we approach the circumstances of that day. But the main thing I want to stress is that we can have a mental position that we're not going to be influenced by what's going on around us. We're going to stick to the purpose that we have decided. We're going to go forward and do whatever we plan to do, okay? So that gives me rise to describe what I call the three great gifts that we're given as human beings in this world. We're given emotion, intellect, and will. Emotion, intellect, and will. What does that mean? It means we have the capacity to feel things. We feel love, we feel joy, we feel sadness, we feel all kinds of things. But we also have a brain, and we have the ability to process information. We have intellect, right? That's how you're capable of listening to your teachers and getting the grades that you get, because you engage your intellect in study and, test taking and so forth. And finally, you have will, volition. You have the capacity to take action. This is a blessing. This is an opportunity. You have all three of these great gifts that allow you to feel deeply, to think well, and to act accordingly, right? So some people are more emotional. They focus more on the emotional aspect of those gifts. Some people are more willful. They just do, right? You know people like this. They just act. And some people are thinkers and intellectual people, and they're always thinking about stuff. What we want to try to do is have all three of those gifts very harmoniously united inside of ourselves. So I want to give you a piece of advice, which is make everything a new statement. Even if you're told to do something, please try to own it by making it your own decision. Why do I say that? Because when we find that self-interest in what we're doing, we can motivate ourselves to do a good job. If you're just doing things because you're told to do it, you might not like that. You might feel, you might actually not do it because you were told to do it, right? You know this with your parents. They're telling you to do something, you know it's right, but because they told you to do it, you won't do it. So what I'm trying to stress here is turn that statement around and, try to unite with what you're being told to do, whether it's an assignment from a teacher or a direction from an administrator, whatever it is. Try to make it your own. Try to decide that you're owning that decision. So you've been given an essay to write. So you don't just say, well, Mr. Hudson told me I had to do this. You say, no, I'm going to write this essay because I want to write this essay. Then you have a completely different experience. I guarantee that that's what will happen. Because when we own things, then we take responsibility for them, and we don't just defer the responsibility to someone else. So please try to own it and make it your own decision. And finally, what I want to share with you is my final reflection this morning, which is focus on the process and the result will take care of itself. Maybe it's not apparent to you because you're being given things to do, right? You're being asked to do an assignment. You're being asked to wear a mask. Well, now you can or cannot wear a mask. You're being asked to get to school on time, whatever. And so you don't normally see the bigger picture of what's going on. But what I'm trying to say here is that when we focus on the process, when we invest ourselves every day with great sincerity and with great heart, that you don't have to worry about the grades. You don't have to worry about the results. But the key point is the process. And this is not going to end with high school. It's the same for me as it is for you. I have my workload every day, right? And I can either approach it with energy and enthusiasm, or I can be, what kind of day is that, right? But when I approach the process with sincerity and I bring my best game every day, then eventually a good outcome will show up. So what I want to say is please focus on the process. Don't worry about the result. Worry about doing it right. And the slide shows a very interesting rock, a Zen rock formation. And you would never get, I think I'm going to go off camera here, but you'd never get that rock to sit on the top of this set of rocks unless each rock was put in the right spot at the right time. And then eventually you're going to get the final rock is going to sit there without falling down. But that's because the person that put those rocks there did so with great sincerity as each rock was placed. So those are my, early spring reflections. I hope that there's something in there that you can take with you this week and that it will help inform your choices and your decisions, especially as we enter into the fourth and final marking period of the year. Lots of fun things are coming up. Of course, we have the telethon. Yay, shout out. Okay. And we have we will have an open house coming up, which is going to be fun as well. Some of you will be asked to support that activity. This week, I was asked to remind you that on Wednesday, we have the individual yearbook pictures. So who needs to shave? Among the boys, who needs to shave? Anyway, you're not going to be wearing your mask during the picture. So if you've got something to shave there, make sure you shave it off before picture day on Wednesday. And please comb your hair nicely so that you look good in those pictures, because those pictures will be there for a long, long time, and people will look at them later and see how beautiful you were in high school, okay? So Wednesday, when you come in, make sure you're all ready for picture day. Okay. Teachers, are there any other announcements? All right. Anyway, I heard that Global Studies went very well. I hope you enjoyed it and you understood the value of, and you got some benefit of working together with your classmates and having something a little bit different from the normal schedule of the school year. But now, this week, we're back to normal classes. So please follow your teacher's instructions. And with that, I will dismiss you to your second period class. Thank you.